Okay, so made a few videos by now, and I realized that my intentions of doing these videos for you are not only to show you how to do them, but how to show you easy ways, like easy or doable versions of different popular things that you can do at festivals. Because I know you can go on YouTube or anything and find a million different just beautiful um, tutorials on these beautiful masks, but when you're out there and you're just trying to get through a party or trying to get through a festival or an event, some of those things just, I mean, you don't even realize until you're doing it, and then you're there for 10 minutes on one kid with a line down the street, and you're stuck. So um, one thing I want to do for you is Spider-Man. I know it sounds funny, but I've just been really excited to do it. It's really popular. I mean, you're gonna get Spider-Man. If you say Spider-Man to a kid, whether he knows what he wants or not, they're probably gonna say, "Yeah, Spider-Man." Batman's another big one. Superman's happens sometimes, but Batman and Spider-Man are the two big ones. Then you get like the Hulk once in a while, and Iron Man and all that. And honestly, when I'm trying just to do a birthday party or trying to do Jungle Island or something, um, where I am just trying to bang him out, I refuse. Like I'll be like, I can't do that today. When I go to your birthday party, I'll do it. But so this is the Spider-Man that I adapted for stuff like that. You can of course do. I've seen a full face. You can just do like half black, half red. You can do some really raw stuff with Spider-Man. If I'm trying to do full face, I try to end the mask around here, because if you do it all over the kid's mouth, then it's the kid, they start eating and start whatever they do, and then it just ends up disgusting. So if you're gonna do a full face, I've seen it before where they do like the white, or even this way, and then they do like the whole web thing. But this is gonna be kind of an eye mask, and it's pretty easy. So what I'm gonna start with is my white, and I'm going to do the eyes. I like to do the white first because it can really easily smear over red and make pink, and no little boy wants pink eyes. So I'm using, okay, it's pretty wet, this flat brush here. It came in that pack of, it's an American Painter, and it came in that pack of 4 or 5 that you can get from Silly Farm for like $10. It's pretty useful for covering, like if you're not using a sponge, I'll use this to cover large parts. I'm gonna do a Batman for you too using this. That just is real fast and it looks really cool. And I've altered my Batman and Spider-Man so many times before I finally got what I wanted. So make sure that the paint isn't too wet. It's better that it's too dry than too wet, 'cause I'm about to go into my eyes. And with the little kid, if you go into their eyes, especially the corner of their eyes, and they freak out and they do that, it will literally squish the paint into their eyes. And even though this is made for your skin and stuff, if it gets a lot into your eyes, it really hurts. And it's not comfortable. It's happened. So I'm going to start by doing, when you use a broad brush like this, and I think I learned this from Heather from Silly Farm, you don't want to do like this, because you're going to end up with like a square shape right there. You want to be pointing down, like, and then follow the shape of the eye. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover my eyelid from my my eyelid up to my eyebrow. So if I'm doing a child like this, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna kind of, like to test it to see how wet it is by just kind of dabbing it, and also it helps me get close to the lash line, kind of fill in that space there. And then you can just kind of like see if you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, just point downward and then come up, kind of get that shape. Okay, and get that all filled in there. Okay, once you get that whole eyelid covered, I want a little bit of a shape. I'm going to put my brush on my, let me open my white, but my brush flat like that, and then when I come, I'm gonna twist it. So like this, and then twist. Okay, and you kind of almost like a cat eye kind of shape. And you kind of get in there and make sure it's nice and filled in. Sometimes if it's a little wet, you'll see like your brush strokes. You can even go over the eyebrow if you want. But I'm not going to. Just gonna. Okay. So you see what I got going on there? If it was for a girl's design, I was trying to do something to this effect of, you know, painting something in the eye, I might kind of turn it so it makes this really kind of cat eye pointed. But for Spiderman, it doesn't really matter because you don't want it to be too feminine anyway. So, get in there and fix that a little bit. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. I'm going to, let's see what I'm doing, even though I just did it. So I'm going to point it down, like downward, and then follow the shape of my eye. So, let's see if you can see what I'm doing. Kind of fill in that space by the lash line, and then get in the corner, make sure you're kind of filling it in there, and then you can do your shape. Now, if you're in a real hurry at a festival or a party, you can even, you know, you want to put the white eyes somehow because that's kind of Spider-Man's thing. See, I kind of messed it up there a little bit, but I can fix it, or I can, if it gets too close to the nose, I can always use a Q-tip. But you want the wide eyes somehow. If you are in a big hurry, you can just use a sponge and just kind of get it in there, and you know, best you can, just fill it in there. Sometimes I'll even just kind of, you know, get this and just paint it in just to get it white there. But this looks really cool if you can get a hang of the technique of turning the brush to get that shape. Then it's a quick way to kind of add something interesting too. And go up there and then twist. And then kind of bring it in. Fill it in there, make sure it's even. Okay. So you see what I did there? Make sure if it's a little wider on part, you can always go back and even it out. It's kind of hard to get it even, especially like that's probably the hardest part about painting is trying to get things symmetrical. So if you gotta get in there and kind of fix it a little bit, you can. And once you get a hang of this, it's easier. It's fast, you know, it is fast. So that's what I got, kind of a basic shape on the other side. Okay. Now I'm just going to make a mask here. So I'm going to sponge on red. And let me show you the beauty of sponging, because I could get this, my broad brush that I just used, and I could paint it on. I could, you know, like an actual paintbrush, I could do it that way. That's definitely a possibility, but sponging is just fast and easy, and I really want to show you the beauty of it. So I'm just sprayed my paint. This is wolf red, or what's left of my wolf red, and like I said, spraying is better than just dipping your sponge. I learned that after experience of having just water down my wrist, and then you just try to dry it out and squish it out, and before you know it, you're just disgusting. So, and it's just too wet. So spray it, wipe it around. Like I've said before, I like to hold my sponge in a pinch, so it kind of gives me a nice round shape. And then I'm going to sponge it all on the white, or above the white, and stop right about there. So you can kind of sponge, dab, wipe, you know, just get in there however you can. My sponge is a little bit dry, but see, it kind of working in there. It's better that it's too dry than too wet, because I can always go back and add a little more, but it's better than it dripping down and messing up all your white and just being too wet and getting in the kids' eyes. You don't want that. So just get a nice coverage right about down to there. Bridge of their nose, top of the bridge of their nose. Okay. Sponge is a little wet, so they're dry, so I'm gonna put some more. More or less. I'm gonna put a little spider there anyway, so you don't really have to be like really anything. So you can even just work it up into the hairline. I don't so much want it in my hair right now, but you can work it up in the hairline. Get it kind of around. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of red just under the corner of the eyes, kind of right there, like this. Just kind of get a little spot, come down a little bit, just a little red like that. Same on this side. Okay, I'm just doing the same thing I did on the other side, just getting it. Be careful that you don't like get it too much under their eyes, because that just doesn't look very good. But you want to get it just up along the corner of the corner and then down a little bit. Make sure it's symmetrical. You can go back and even it out. Okay. See, sponging is relatively fast, and you don't see brush strokes. Like when you sponge, you don't really see brush strokes. So it looks very good. Okay, make sure it's all in there. Now sponging is fantastic, but then you end up with that. Now imagine if my brush was or my sponge was too wet, it would just be like total mess. Okay, so we're almost done. This is it, and this would be a lot faster if I was doing it on a child because I'd have that advantage of you know not having to use a mirror and everything, and you know once like I said once you get used to it, it's just really fast to get in there and do some wide eyes, either like this, because look at that cool shape. I mean, it just adds something interesting instead of just blopping it on, and using the brush for the eyes keeps you from accidentally sponging underneath the eyes and having to clean that up because that doesn't look very good either. Once again, this is ideal. Sometimes kids like will hold their eyes really tight squished together, and then you just can't get this pretty solid white. In that case, sometimes I'll try to tell them relax your eyes. If they don't understand me, I'll say look at me, close your eyes like this, very soft. And usually they'll get the point. If they don't, you just can't make them. So just do the best you can. Sometimes just get in there with a sponge. It's not too wet because once again, if you're squishing like that, you're going to end up getting it in their eyes. And the last thing you want is that liability and that drama with the kid and the parents and everything else. So anyway, this is the ideal, awesome, quick Spider-Man. Okay, now all you have left is to do the lines. Black wolf would be ideal. Actually, I might even use a little bit of it. It's perfect. It's the best for line work. I have a little bit left when I use it. I'm going to get one of my thinner brushes, get it wet, get some black in there. Okay, now I'm going to start by outlining the white. Okay, I'm just going to outline this shape here, starting from, you can even go over that, use eyebrows as a guide. Oh, mine's are, you know, shaped, but kids might not be. So just from the corner of the eye, come up. You can even press down a little fatter, like that, and then try to get a real thin taper, like that. Okay. I once learned from somewhere that changing the consistency of your lines, like doing oh, look at that. See, I got some black there, and if I was a kid, if I felt that drip, I'd squish and instantly go right in my eyes. So let me just, I should have Q-tips for this part, but I don't have any, so I'm going to my sponge to kind of get it out of there. Okay, we just go back there after and fix that white, but I just don't want it to go in my eye. Okay, so I'll go back in there after it dries and I'll fix that white. But as an example, my brush was a little too wet and it started dripping in my eye, and that could have been disastrous were I a child. But I was always saying, like, if you change the um, I don't know if consistency is the right word, but if, like, kind of go fatter and skinnier, and it makes it more interesting than just doing one big fat line or even one big skinny line. If you can try to, mess with that and change the size of your lines as you go, if you know what I mean. So I did it kind of fat to skinny, and then from the corner of the eye, I'm gonna try to do a skinny line here, or even like kind of like a teardrop, like a little fat and skinnier. So you can see what I'm doing. Fat, kind of press down like you're doing a teardrop, and then pull up and just use your tip. Okay, and then you get that kind of cool design. Kind of nice Spider-Man type eye. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Hopefully you can see me doing it. Corner of the eye, I'm going to be careful this time so I don't drip in my eye. Brush it a little dry. Fat over the eyebrow, and then try to get a little skinny coming out. Okay. I'm going to the same thing, kind of press down in the corner like a teardrop and pull it up on my tip and do like a tapered thin point. So press it down. Okay, those are my Spider-Man eyes. Let me just fix up this little corner where I got it, where I messed up with the black. I had to fix this, or keep it from going into my eye. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of white, kind of a heavy load, because if I just put a little bit and try to smudge it around, it's going to make gray. So I'm just gonna kind of tap it on and blend it in. All better. So now I've got my eyes and my sponge on red. And this is gonna be that's it from here up. And kids like it. It looks really good, and the parents really like it because it's a little different than what they're used to seeing. And honestly, I don't think a lot of parents like to see like just so much. It even shocks me as a face painter to see. And don't get me wrong, it's beautiful and it looks really nice to have the full face, but at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, all that paint, and then they eat, and then they drool and they snot and everything, and this just kind of keeps it away from the danger zone of the the boogers and the food and everything else. So I'm going to draw a spider right here, and then I'm going to do a web. So basically, it's eyes, sponge, outline, spider web, done. Even though this is taking longer as I give you little step by steps, it is very quick to do and it looks really cool. So I learned to do a spider. You just pick these things up along the way. Okay, you're gonna do like a figure 8. I'm gonna do the spider facing down, so the fat part of the 8's gonna be facing up. So just like this. You can even do 2 circles if it's more comfortable. In this case for me it will be because I'm trying to do it backwards in a mirror on myself. So I'm going to do this little circle. It's gonna be his head. Again, this is very fast when you're doing it to someone else and not trying to do it backwards in a mirror. Okay, and then a little body for our friend, the spider. More or less like this. You can do a figure 8. You can even give his body like more of a point on the back, like that. See? Okay, you want to leave enough space here between the eye and the spider to do legs, or else you're going to end up not having any space. And the way I learned to do spider legs, and this is a very basic spider, you know, I've seen a lot of cool spiders out there, but this is a very basic spider. You're going to do the first two like this, come out and down, so out, with using the tip of your brush, and down, and the other one out, and pull down, but I'm coming up to meet it. So you almost like joints, so it's not just like, you know, just outward legs, they kind of have joints. It looks more spider-like. And then out and down, and then out and down again. Or for me, up, just to meet up. Okay, those are the first four legs, and then other ones are going to do kind of the same kind of joint, but out and up. So kind of from the same point where I'm at, right there, like almost where the head meets the body. Out, as thin as you can, thinner than that, and up, out, and up. Okay, and then on the other side too. And that's just a basic little spider. You know, like later on, I've seen people like, you know, add eyes and little, you know, little mouth things, and you can even do like, you know, the little what are they called, the pinchers. That's a basic spider, especially for this design. You get the idea. From there, we're gonna build the web. Okay, and this is another way I use teardrops. Kind of in a way. I mean, it's not really a teardrop. It's just like the same idea. I'm gonna press. I'm gonna start at the top. I'm gonna press, and then drag down to a thin line, right down the middle towards his little backside there. So. As thin as you can get it. Okay. This is spider web, so it's not like perfect straight line. It's okay, but you see, as long as it's kind of thin. I think when it's thin, it looks better. Okay, and then once again, using like the kind of fatter part on top is making it more interesting for me. More interesting to look at. So I'm gonna do one over here, well, towards the same focal point. Drag the tip of my brush. Another one. And we'll do one more. I'm gonna follow like kind of the shape. I'm gonna bend this one a little bit over the shape of my eye. See? Okay. And the same amount on the other side. Okay. And the same one on this side, I'm gonna follow like the shape of my eye. Okay. And more or less even. And then I'm going to do a couple here, kind of like following, almost like when you do teardrops for any sort of like when I did my pink swirly design, I started with a teardrop and then I followed in. I'm going to do that. I'm going to follow the shape of my eye, the teardrop here, pull all the way in towards the corner of my eye, one here, corner of my eye, and then just kind of close off the red there. Okay, and then I get that. What I'm doing to make this shape once again is I'm pressing down the side of my brush, and then as I drag, I'm pulling up and using my tips, so it just kind of tapers it. And same thing on this side. Let's see. So just I'll have to look at my other side to see what I did. I did 3, so I'm going to do 3 over here. Towards the corner of my eye. 1, 2. My brush is getting a little dry, so I'm going to wet it again. And 3. Try to close off that red a little bit. this is what I have. Now all there is left to do is add the little webs in between. So all of these are going to be thin. I'm not going to do any of that, fat to thin kind of teardrop kind of deal. I'm just going to do 2 or 3 between each one, but the same amount, but I'm going to see what looks good. So tip of my brush, so you can see it, huh? Oh gosh. You just can't see no matter what I do. Okay, I'm going to do it in this mirror again. Tip of my brush. Okay, you have to deal with not being able to see this like that. And just to get thin lines like that. You can barely even see it, which is perfect. Okay, see what I'm doing? I'm just doing like little kind of loops. Okay, you can do a couple here to connect it to the eye. And do that all the way around. There has to be a way to do this, like I'm not covering my eye. Or covering it, there we go. See what I'm getting? When I'm doing this on a kid, I'll do the same kind of thin line thing, like with the tip of my brush, but a little faster. I mean, even if it's not so perfect, but I'm trying to show you for the sake of, so you can see what I'm doing, and just for the tutorial. But I might do like, kind of whoop, whoop, whoop. It's a little faster. Connect this here, a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to connect down here, a couple here. I'll do 2 each. 1, 2. Remember, I'm curving in. That's what gives it that spider web look. Okay, and on this side too. I haven't even had to load my brush. It was wet enough. So just know, if you can get all the way around the face without having to dip your brush again, then go for it. Or you're not wasting paint, especially valuable wolf black. And that's it. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool little mask. It's off their face. From here, if you want, you can even get, that's it. I'll just stop here. But I'll just throw this in real fast. If you want to get fancy, you get a little bit of white. Always white. White always adds a little accent. And you can just do a little accents in the webs. Just kind of, very thin. Just kind of like little. See what I'm doing? Little accents in the webs. Take up over here. And this is very superfluous. Like, it's very kind of like you don't need it. And sometimes when you do it on one, you gotta do them on all of them. Like if I'm doing one little boy and I add this, and then his friend says, "Oh, I want a Spider-Man too," you gotta do this too. So maybe don't make this too much of a habit if you're in a hurry. And then you can just even a little accent on the spider. There you go. And that is a quick, easy, I know it doesn't seem quick, but it is quick, I promise, when you're not trying to do it step by step. And it looks so cool, right? I want you to know how I did the lines and how I mentioned before, how it's fat thin, and that kind of makes it more interesting, kind of in a teardrop shape, than just having lines. And then the webs in between are curving, and they're as thin as I could get them. And that just makes the web look really cool. So that's my Spider-Man. I hope it's useful. It's, like I said, easy. You're not using a lot of paint at all, so that's always good. Okay. Good luck. Bye.